Welcome, focused learners, to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly paradoxical and just rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape. The year is 2026, and the Middle East and Central Asia are undergoing these simultaneous extreme transformations. On one hand, we're witnessing the kinetic reality of the Second Iran War, which is this massive regional military escalation. But directly parallel to that, we're seeing unprecedented geoeconomic deals and radical diplomatic realignments that are completely reshaping the region's future. It's like a giant geopolitical puzzle where all the pieces are moving at once.
Okay, let's dive right into this. How do nations navigate total war and multi-billion-dollar trade deals at the exact same time? I mean, it seems totally contradictory, right? You'd naturally think a regional conflict would just freeze all economic and diplomatic activity across the board. But as the source material for today's explainer reveals, the exact opposite is happening. Conflict and commerce are literally running on parallel tracks right now, and understanding how they intersect is the absolute key to understanding the new Middle East.
So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the Second Iran War. Second, proxies and peace. Third, the Turkmenistan gas swap. And finally, Syria's surprising pivot.
Let's start with Part 1, the Second Iran War, and specifically the kinetic escalation of March 2026.
Looking strictly at the military realities on the ground, the combined U.S. and Israeli air campaign systematically targeted Iranian defense, missile, and naval infrastructure. This is all documented by the Institute for the Study of War. On March 18th, strikes hit a major Caspian Sea port. This is a really critical logistics hub used for trading military goods with Russia. Then, just 2 days later on March 20th, strikes targeted the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' ground forces 41st Division headquarters in Kerman. And by March 25th, the campaign pushed even further. They hit the 14th Tactical Air Base in Mashhad, which is actually the most northeastern site targeted in the war to date, along with crucial naval cruise missile manufacturing sites right inside Tehran. The objective here was very clear: a rapid, systematic degradation of military capabilities.
But of course, this campaign didn't happen in a vacuum. The Axis of Resistance, which is Iran's network of regional proxy groups, launched a massive, geographically expansive retaliatory campaign of their own. We aren't just talking about a single border skirmish here. We're seeing Hezbollah launching rockets into northern Israel, simultaneously with drone swarms targeting Saudi Arabia and the UAE. We even saw ballistic missiles hitting infrastructure at the Kuwait International Airport and surging drone attacks against Bahrain. The conflict entirely engulfed the Gulf and the Levant. It truly became a regional war.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer concentrated intensity of the combat. In just a single 24-hour window stretching from March 24th to March 25th, Hezbollah claimed 79 separate attacks targeting Israeli forces. 79! This marked the highest number of attacks claimed by the group in a single day since they joined the war earlier that month. It represents just a staggering volume of drones, rockets, and anti-tank missiles filling the airspace.
Moving on to Part 2, proxies and peace proposals, the diplomatic standoff. So, shifting our focus from the battlefield to the negotiating table, there is a vast chasm between the two sides' negotiating positions. Delivered via a Pakistani interlocutor, the U.S. laid out a sweeping 15-point proposal. It essentially demanded Iran dismantle its nuclear program, hand over enriched uranium, cease all support for its proxy groups, and ensure absolute freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. Conversely, Iran countered with 5 strict conditions for a ceasefire. They demanded a complete halt to all U.S. and Israeli attacks, financial compensation for wartime damages, and, critically, international recognition of Iranian authority over the Strait of Hormuz. As you can see, the demands are almost exact mirror opposites of each other.
And the stakes? Well, they really couldn't be higher. By late March 2026, the White House was waiting on a formal Iranian response to its proposal, but issued a really stark ultimatum: agree to a deal to end the conflict or face further escalating military action. It was literally a diplomatic tightrope suspended directly over an active war zone.
Okay, Part 3, the Turkmenistan gas swap, economic pragmatism amidst conflict.
While military strikes dominate the headlines, something fascinating is happening right beneath the surface. Take a look at the mechanics of this agreement, which was finalized in Ashgabat. It's a classic swap scheme, kind of like a massive energy relay race. First, Turkmenistan pumps its natural gas across its southern border directly into Iran. Then, Iran takes that gas and utilizes it for its own domestic needs in its northern regions. In return, Iran exports an exact equivalent volume of its own gas from its southern fields directly into Iraq, primarily to power Iraqi electricity grids. It's this brilliantly pragmatic workaround that keeps Iran absolutely central to the region's energy grid, despite being actively engaged in a major regional war. And we have to put this into perspective. This isn't some small temporary fix either. The long-term goal of this agreement is a massive 40 billion cubic meters of gas per year. To accommodate volumes that massive, Iranian companies have actually been contracted to build 125 kilometers of new pipelines and 3 new compressor stations right on the territory of Turkmenistan. It's a serious, long-term infrastructure commitment happening right in the shadow of regional instability.
Now, what's really interesting about this swap mechanism is how far its impact could reach. The Turkish Minister of Energy explicitly noted that this exact same swap setup could be used to push Turkmen gas all the way to Turkey. And, well, if it reaches Turkey, it can reach Europe. This means the Iranian pipeline network, despite all the geopolitical friction we just talked about, could theoretically act as a massive artery replacing lost Russian gas volumes for European markets. It's just a stunning example of geoeconomic gumption.
Which brings us to Part 4, Syria's surprising diplomatic pivot. Shifting alliances in 2026.
If those energy deals were pragmatic, this next development is a total geopolitical earthquake. By May of 2026, a newly governed Syria began radically realigning its entire international posture. Just look at the unprecedented steps the new Syrian government is taking to integrate with Western and international institutions. The new Syrian president, Ahmed al-Shara, was actually invited to the G7 summit in Paris as a guest nation. The Syrian health minister met directly with the Director General of the World Health Organization in Geneva. And, perhaps most shockingly of all, the Syrian military began cooperating with NATO.
Yeah, you heard that right. For the first time since the fall of the Assad government, Syrian troops deployed outside the country to participate in Turkey's large-scale FS 2026 military exercises. They actually trained alongside troops from 50 different countries, all hosted by a major NATO power. This represents a staggering shift in regional security dynamics, with Ankara taking a lead role in helping rebuild Syria's military institutions.
So the crucial point is really captured right here in the words of the Syrian Foreign Ministry itself. They are explicitly branding this as the approach of the new Syria. Their ultimate goal is to distance themselves from the grave violations and alliances of the deposed regime and instead attract foreign investment, increase internal stability, and genuinely integrate into the global rules-based order. They are quite literally sprinting away from their past.
We've seen a region defined by intense kinetic warfare, interconnected energy swaps, and completely radical diplomatic realignments. And it's all happening in the exact same window of time. As these alliances shift, as the multi-billion-dollar pipelines are laid, and as new battle lines are forcefully drawn, I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. What will the new Middle East truly look like when the dust of 2026 finally settles? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on this rapidly changing map.